The slap was heard before anyone understood why it happened. A single brutal sound that sliced through the marble air of the Grand Dorian Hotel. A sound that stopped laughter, froze motion, and turned every head. In that instant, no one knew who the calm woman standing by the reception desk was. To them, she was just another guest who didn't belong. But in less than 2 minutes, every camera recording would reveal the truth. They hadn't just humiliated a woman. They had humiliated their new boss. That afternoon, the Grand Dorian gleamed like a monument to luxury. Crystal chandeliers spilled light like diamonds, the scent of wealth lingered in the air, and every smile from the staff was carefully rehearsed. But the perfection cracked the moment Imani Brooks walked through those golden doors. She didn't arrive with bodyguards or designer labels, only with quiet confidence and a folder that held the fate of everyone watching. What began as an act of arrogance became a global reckoning. One slap ignited headlines, toppled careers, and redefined what power truly looks like. Because real power doesn't shout, threaten, or demand attention. It stands tall even when struck. And that day, in a lobby built for the privileged, dignity made its loudest entrance yet. The glass doors clanged shut as security personnel closed in around her. Murmurs spread like ripples through the crowd while phones were raised, cameras rolling. At the front of the lobby, the hotel manager jabbed a finger toward the composed black woman standing by the reception desk and barked, "Get her out of here. She doesn't belong in this place." Before anyone could process what was happening, the manager's hand whipped through the air, striking her squarely across the face. The sharp crack echoed through the marble hall, silencing every voice in the room. For a long, stunned second, time itself seemed to hold still. Guests froze mid-motion. Gasps filled the silence. Yet the woman didn't shout, didn't flinch, didn't even raise a hand in defense. Instead, she simply smiled, calm, poised, and knowing. Because in less than 2 minutes, every person watching would discover the truth. The woman they had just seen humiliated was the owner of the entire hotel. That afternoon, the Grand Dorian Hotel shimmered with elegance and prestige. Its chandeliers glittered like a constellation of diamonds. The marble floors gleamed as if polished with pride itself, and every staff member moved with precision, trained to identify high-profile guests at a glance. But not a single one recognized the woman who stepped quietly through those golden doors, carrying only a slim leather folder and an air of quiet confidence. Her name was Imani Brooks, though soon the entire world would come to know her as the woman who owned it all. Approaching the reception desk, she smiled warmly and said, "Good afternoon. I have a private meeting scheduled in the executive suite." Behind the counter, Lauren Pierce, the duty manager, gave her a long, skeptical look, her lips tightening. "The executive suite?" she repeated, disbelief dripping from every syllable. "Are you sure you're in the right hotel?" Imani's voice remained gentle. "Yes, please confirm under my name, Imani Brooks." Lauren let out a forced laugh. "Ma'am, that suite is reserved for board-level meetings only. I think housekeeping or guest services might be down the hall." Guests turned their heads. A man in the corner raised his phone, sensing a scene about to unfold. Imani drew a calm breath. "I'm not here for housekeeping. I have a meeting with the general manager." Lauren leaned forward, her voice slicing through the low hum of the lobby. "I said that room is not for outsiders. You can't just walk into a 5-star hotel and claim appointments that don't exist." 2 security guards began to move in her direction as whispers rippled through the crowd. "She's handling this so calmly," one woman murmured. Imani met Lauren's sharp stare without blinking. "You could check the system instead of assuming," she said evenly. Lauren's smirk deepened, her arrogance swelling. "I don't need to check anything. I can tell when someone doesn't belong here." Imani's tone softened, though her words struck like steel. "Then you just made your first mistake today." Lauren's nostrils flared. "Excuse me?" Before Imani could answer, the hotel's general manager, Ethan Clark, appeared, frowning as he approached. "What's going on here?" he demanded. Lauren gestured dramatically. "This woman's causing a disturbance, pretending she has a meeting upstairs." Ethan gave Imani a quick, dismissive glance and nodded toward the guards. "Escort her out. We don't tolerate this kind of behavior in our lobby." Still, Imani didn't move. "You're making a decision you won't be able to take back," she said quietly. Ethan crossed his arms. "Is that a threat?" No, she replied, her voice calm as water. It's a warning. The guard stepped closer, and just then Lauren snapped. She stepped forward, anger flashing like lightning, and slapped Imani across the face. The sound cracked through the air like a gunshot. Gasps broke out. A child screamed. The guards froze mid-motion. Phones lifted higher, recording everything. Imani remained perfectly still. Her head was turned slightly to the side, the red print of Lauren's hand burning against her cheek. But her eyes, steady, fierce, unblinking, never wavered. You shouldn't have done that, she said softly. Lauren sneered, her own hand trembling. You think you can walk in here, make demands, and disrespect me in my own hotel? Imani's lips curved into a faint, knowing smile. Your hotel? Ethan snapped. Enough! Get her out, now! At that precise moment, the elevator chimed. Two men in tailored suits stepped out, holding security folders. They strode quickly toward the front desk, one leaning in to whisper something urgently into Ethan's ear. His face drained of color as he stammered. What did you just say? The man repeated, voice shaky. Sir, she's the new majority owner. The acquisition papers were finalized last night. Lauren blinked in disbelief. What? Turning fully toward them, Imani gently rubbed her cheek. Would you like me to reintroduce myself? She asked. Opening her leather folder, she placed a document neatly on the counter. Imani Brooks, CEO of Brooks International Holdings. As of 9 o'clock this morning, I hold controlling interest in the Grand Dorian Hotel and all affiliated properties. The lobby fell into complete silence, broken only by the faint hum of phones still streaming live. Imani's voice was steady and commanding. And this, she said, touching the mark on her face, is how your management greets its new owner. Ethan's face turned ghostly pale. Miss Brooks, I had no idea. You didn't need to know, she interrupted smoothly. You only needed to act with respect. Lauren's voice trembled. Please, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean. Imani lifted a hand. Don't apologize to me. Apologize to every guest who just witnessed what this hotel really stands for. The crowd was silent, phones recording every word. A few guests began to clap softly. Someone whispered, finally. Imani turned to Ethan. Gather your senior staff now. Minutes later, the entire management team stood in a stiff line across the lobby as cameras flashed and the world watched. This hotel, Imani began, her voice resonant, was built as a symbol of hospitality, but today it became a stage for humiliation. She let the silence stretch before continuing. Effective immediately, every employee who witnessed this and chose to stay silent is on unpaid suspension. Ms. Pierce, Mr. Clark, and your employment ends here. Lauren's knees buckled as she pleaded, please, I have a family. So do the people you've humiliated daily, Imani replied firmly. You used power as a weapon. Now it's been taken from you. Security moved forward and escorted the pair out as applause erupted through the lobby. Some guests wept. Others broadcasted the moment live to millions. Imani faced the cameras. This isn't revenge, she said. It's correction. From now on, the Grand Dorian will not operate on privilege but on principle. That evening, the story exploded across every major news outlet. Headlines blazed. Hotel staff slaps black CEO, they're fired minutes later. The video amassed 80 million views within a single day. But Imani wasn't done. She held an emergency press conference that same week. Standing before a wall of microphones and flashing lights, she announced, from this moment forward, every Brooks International property will uphold a zero-tolerance dignity clause. No guest, employee, or visitor will ever be judged by how they look, only by how they act. The crowd burst into applause. Cameras flickered like lightning. A month later, during a televised interview, a journalist asked softly, Miss Brooks, what went through your mind the moment she slapped you? Imani smiled faintly. Sometimes, she said, life gives arrogance a microphone, so the whole world can hear its downfall. The reporter hesitated, then asked, and afterward, what did you feel? She looked straight into the camera. Nothing, she answered, because power doesn't feel. It decides. Her words reverberated across newsrooms, boardrooms, and every place where silence once hid injustice. And somewhere in that same marble lobby, the echo of that slap still lingered, not as a sound of pain but as proof. Proof that dignity once challenged returned stronger than before. If you believe true power doesn't scream, It stands tall even when struck. Then prove it. Like this video, share it everywhere, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from and which moment spoke to you most. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more stories where dignity rewrites arrogance.